February 2020, Melly was involved in a multi-inmate fight inside the day room of his area unit and was given a doctor for his role in the fight. October 2020, placed on a room restriction for refusing to go back to a cell as he was trying to hide while on the phone. And developing now, there's a new push to get rapper YNW Melly out of jail. He's currently awaiting retrial for 2 childhood friends. But a new lawsuit alleges he's being held in inhumane condition. In today's court hearing, Melly's lawyer submitted paperwork for an immediate release due to an ongoing lawsuit between Melly and the county jail. It was announced Melly sues Broward Sheriff's Office for cruel treatment and is seeking immediate release from prison. Melly also claimed they have not allowed him to see or speak with any family members in 3 years, as this got rapper's reaction saying, "I like what I'm hearing right now. Shout out that boy Melly, free him. He's been in there too long." This is because in Melly's lawsuit, his lawyers claimed he's been living in a freezing cold cell with no edible food with 0 human contact. An interview from Melly's mother paints a disturbing picture of Melly's life in jail. It sounds like he won't last much longer as Melly's mother. Jamie ranted in an interview how Melly was granted a mistrial, which means he wasn't found guilty, but they're still treating him like the worst inmate in the jail. My son has not been convicted of anything. And even other inmates that have been convicted or anything, they have the right to use a telephone. They have a right to be allowed to write letters to their loved ones, to receive their mail. They hold his mail. They don't give it to him. His mother spoke more in the interview and said how she's just heartbroken for what her son has gone through. She feels helpless because they don't treat him like a human in jail. When you saw Melly's statement just saying how he's been hurt, how he's scared for his life as a mother, how did that make you feel? It's heartbreaking. It made me feel completely helpless. Broward Sheriff's Office definitely needs to be investigated. I mean, they are making up their own rules. We've tried to go to court about this situation. The judge really doesn't have any jurisdiction when it comes to the jail because we actually had a hearing about the mistreatment of him in the jail. They make their own rules, and I don't think that's fair because I know that they need to answer to someone too. This got the attention of other people in the rap industry, and they agreed that Melly should be living a hard life in jail. He doesn't get to do the crime that he's alleged of doing and get special treatment just because he's a rapper. The YNW me. I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated. Yeah, I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated, homie. A homie, when you take a life, homie. You ain't got a right to complain about a motherfucking thing about being mistreated when you done chose to play somebody. But on the other side of it, rapper Boozy said how he feels bad for the stress that Melly's mother has gone through. Okay, then I met his mama while he was in. Okay, I met his mom while he was in, and she real, bro. You know she real. She's stressed out. I heard she had she real. And I reached my hand out to him because I'm real. Yeah, I reached out to him, bro. I met his mom and she a good woman, bro. And when I see them mas like that, it remind me of what my mom was going through, bro. However, getting into a new development against Melly in the case is pretty concerning. Melly's lawyers are still going for the release date through the lawsuit, but the feds brought in Melly's ex-girlfriend, Mariah, to place new charges on it. Mariah Hamilton is spending her first day at the Broward County Jail. She has no arrest record until now. U.S. Border Patrol agents arrested her at Miami International Airport Monday after she arrived on an international flight. Court records show Hamilton was ordered to testify in DeMond's first trial in 2023, with Mariah entering the United States for the first time since Melly's first trial. The judge made her agree that she would testify in the next Melly trial. The reason for this is because the feds believe Melly is the sole reason why Mariah left the country for multiple years. He was scared of her testifying on what happened the night that Sackchaser and Juvie passed. So he influenced her to leave the country. With Mariah not wanting to do Melly wrong, she feels bad about agreeing to testify, but she wrote a message saying it's something she has to do. Thank you to my village. I love y'all so much. God's plan, not mine. The feds claim they have proof of Melly witness tampering in her iCloud account, which will be used in the new witness tampering charges against Melly, the state filing 6 new charges against Demons and 2 others who were allegedly involved. The charges include tampering with a witness, directing the activities of a criminal, solicitation, or conspiracy to commit tampering, and unlawful use of a two-way communication device. Now, a couple of those charges actually carry a life in prison sentence if there's a conviction. The reason the witness tampering case is so concerning is because it's a completely separate case from the Juvian Sackhazer trial. This means that even if Melly escapes the M trial, the feds can still prosecute Melly for witness tampering and sentence him to life in prison. But what's interesting is Juvie's father knew that Melly had something to do with witness tampering before it was officially released by the feds. He hopped on an interview and shared the way that Melly used code words to tamper with the case. There was this kind of crazy way that Melly was communicating. He wasn't allowed to use the phone, but he was passing notes to people, and then this person's calling this person, and then that person, saying, like, to me, they going through extreme measures trying to cover up or convince people not to testify, like Mariah Mom. They was using code words, like Rihanna and A$AP Rocky's baby mom, but with this information presented to the judge and Melly's team actively looking for a bond or release with the lawsuit, the judge has to decide what he should do to influence the judge in their favor. They reminded him how Melly admitted to doing the crime on the night it happened. The PZ Gambino account asked him if he was okay, and his response was, "I did that," and placed a smiley face emoji. And the next message from 10/26/2018 at 16:02 from a Eastern Standard Time, the YNW Melly account says, "What?" After that, they even included the video footage of Melly, just hours after the crime happened, where he was smiling and dancing with Portland. Melly still turned regardless of what happened this early morning. He's still out here being very positive. Turned still. Hey, dog still turned regardless of what happened. You already know it shows Melly had no emotion for the crime that happened to his friends just hours earlier, which are signs that Melly isn't innocent. But Melly was filmed another time just minutes before the crime happened, as security footage captured Melly and the other YNW guys getting into the Jeep. It shows that Melly hopped in the back left seat, which is important when you realize that the court documents read, "The direction of the rounds traveling from left to right in the car supports the claim that they originated from the back left seat where Melly was positioned." Even Juvie's mother confirmed he was there. Can you state your name? Your full name for the jury? Leon. Okay, and are you related to one of the in this case? Yes, I am, mother. And who is that? Christopher Thomas. Miss Phillips, did you see who entered into the occupants who entered into that great gray Jeep? Yes. Do you recognize where your son entered that gray Jeep? Yes. Which seat, if you can identify for the jury? He got in the back seat on the, right-hand side. Did you recognize the individual that got into the back seat on the left side, the rear driver's side? Yes, and who was that individual? Janelle. But this resulted in Melly's lawyers responding with evidence which gives reasonable doubt that Melly wasn't involved. One of the biggest things is that the prosecutors never found the firearm that committed the crime, which suggests that if a drive-by did occur, then they would have drove off with the firearm. So the first thing is, I didn't have a firearm. So I can't know which I'm going to use in order to replicate any of my tests. So I can't make tests for this information, because I don't know what was used. Okay, although the prosecutors responded with concerning evidence which suggests Bortland was going to do something concerning to the jurors in the first Melly trial. Melly's co-defendant YW Bortland was booked into a Miami jail Monday night and is being held behind bars on an out-of-count warrant. We just confirmed the warrant is out of Broward County for witness tampering. The warrant obtained by Law and Crime Network states as follows. On or about April 10th, 2023, continuing through and including July 22nd, 2023, Cortland Henry, a.k.a. Bortland, along with others, did unlawfully and knowingly engage in misleading conduct toward another person with the intent to cause or induce them to withhold testimony. The warrant continues. The alleged witness had been summoned by the legal process to the jury trial of Jamal Demons, aka YNW Melly. The dates in the warrant are important. Jury selection for Melly started in mid-April, and a judge declared a mistrial on July 22nd. The same day, the warrant claims Portland allegedly tampered with a witness. As this new clip was followed up by a reporter saying, "Here are images of notes discovered during the home raid of Portland's home," which came with these drawings that Portland allegedly drew, which shows where the jurors were sitting in the courtroom alongside a description of what they look like. Prosecutors claimed these notes were going to be used to identify who the jurors were outside of the courtroom and could have become a backup plan to tamper with them. To keep it real, this is sloppy. Portland, how you going to have the notebook of the jurors in your house? Holy schleich, come the on. It's like doing and having the surveillance tape in your DVD player or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Like they raid your crib and the surveillance footage is in your DVD player. They like, oh, okay. Thank you, brother. This can't be at your crib. But it gets real interesting for Melly because of what Portland is doing. In case you didn't hear, Portland accepted a plea deal with the feds. As it was announced, Portland took the plea deal and he agreed to a proffer deal, which means he's talking. The sentence is to accessory after the fact, and he will do 10 years plus 6 on probation. Academics further broke down what the plea deal means for Portland, and it does not look good for Melly. The judge says on both charges Portland pled no contest to that he has to provide a factual basis for him to accept the plea, which means he has to tell a real story of how the crime happened. It's a gunner plea, except with the proffer he can't say, "Yes, ma'am, he got to sing like Frank Tweet." Out to people upset, I said. This is a gunner plea. This is a gunner plea. This isn't a plea saying you have to tell or him, but this is a plea that you're going to have to provide all the details that they were missing to convict him. And that's why it's a gun to plea. Why do I say he signed a gun plea? Because, well, and I watched the case we covered at Wells case, is that number one, you guys have not done a job to prove that this is actually, with well, they prove that this is with this person being the offender. Also, the accessory after the act plea confirms that Portland, that's kind of like, almost like a sub part of a conspiracy, except you weren't with the conspiracy at first. You came in after the fact. What that proved is that they came in, oh my God, what that proved is that Portland worked with someone after he acknowledged that a murder took place in trying to cover it up. You hear what I just said when pleading to accessory to after the fact? You have to acknowledge that happened and you assisted someone or in some way to cover the now, if Melly's statement is how do we, and then secondly, how do we know who did? 'Cause they said it was a drive-by? If Portland admits the crime happened within the car, it really only leaves Melly left for being the one responsible. On top of essentially snitching on Melly, the prosecutors will also ask him about other questions they have with the crime. As one of the biggest questions they still have was, why did Frito Bank pick up Melly on the night the crime happened? And Chris Thomas? So what you're also going to find out is while Mr. Devons is out there on the side of the road, 4 in the morning, 4:42 specifically, he sends a drop-pin digital homing beacon to his current location to one of his friends, Frederick Given. Frederick Given is also involved in the music industry, and he asked to be picked up. Frederick Given then, about 11 minutes later, is sent another drop-pin where Mr. Demons has moved a couple of meters. What you're going to find out as well, though, is these digital leashes. They have more than just phone calls. But they're also using this photo of Melly with Young Thug against him. As if it's not bad enough that the feds got Melly on a witness tampering charge, they're trying to say Melly's a part of the Red Street team, which is the same team that Thug is on. Same thing. The use of the slat term, 5-point star, the stink. He's saying he's Y-cell, saying what he puts up his YMW for life hashtag on it with Mr. Demons has big hand signs post displayed, right? And these individuals again, I'm assuming that's also Young Thug. That's also unknown. Yes, also important to your investigation, correct? Yes, also publicly available for anyone to see and capture. This got Melly and his lawyers pretty frustrated in court. Melly was fine to let the prosecutors use this in the case, but his lawyers didn't want to allow it, which led to the news writing. Today's hearing marks the first time Melly publicly went against his legal team's advisement in open court, as Melly was seen yelling at his lawyers, "Yes, sir. Against our advice, our client wants to proceed." People who were in the courtroom said that Melly was overheard saying, "I don't care. I'm not in no street team. They can't prove that. I'm aware that 924,071 calls for an automatic stay while they were aggravators. They go to membership." Again, there are things that the jury would have to find before going into penalty. Not aggravated. That's the death. That's the gang on her that was charged. He was charged in committing the murder for the brother of the gang, which is an aggravator in terms of the something that they would have to find by way of inter. This led to new evidence of a former Oblique member exposing a secret that Melly told King Von. Supposedly, King Van told Oblique members that Melly came to him for advice on what to do when dealing with people. Did Van really tell you that Melly told him that he two friends? He ain't come out and say like we got into an argument. And so, if you know when people could say something without saying it. And so he told me like once I posted what I posted, Yvonne was mad at me. He broke, "Why you put up there, bro? I'm like you sitting up here like, the love we got you do this for us, but you're going to trust that his too friends," and he said them was trying to extort him. And so I'm like, if they was trying to extort him, then why are you still around them? But the judge was amazed that Portland was able to get a plea deal after 7 years since the crime happened, as he told Portland in court. "I don't know how your lawyers pulled this off. And it's my understanding that you want to resolve both cases today. Is that correct?" "Yes, sir. And that resolution is an agreement you've reached with the state, the terms of which are as follows. Number 1, in the 19 case, you're going to plead no contest to both counts of accessory after the fact. In the 23 case, you're going to plead no contest to all 4 counts as charged. In exchange for that, the state is going to null pro that is dropped, the 2 first degree. In exchange for that, I'm going to adjudicate you guilty on the 2 accessory counts as well as the tampering count. I'm going to sentence you to 10 years in Florida State Prison." This is the greatest plea deal of all time because it dropped Portland's possible sentence from 5 life sentences all the way down to only 10 years in prison, with only 6 years left to serve. This got an official lawyer's response to the situation where it was reported Lil Wayne and Kodak Black's. Attorney Bradford Cohen says, "Portland has bit the cheese and is likely to flip on." Melly after accepting a plea deal. All right, let's talk YW Melly and YW Portland. He is now doing the triple Lindy. For those youngsters that don't know what the triple Lindy is, it is when you do several flips off a high dive and he will be flipping. He is going to tell all about anything he knows about the double case, and they will know if he's telling the truth or telling a lie when he gives his full quote-unquote confession as to what happened that evening. And that's what happens a lot of times, where guys are in the prison for 4 or 5 years awaiting trial and looking at a life sentence, and they're offered 10 years where they'll be home, probably in another 3 years that he'll serve. He decides to flip and become a cheese eater. And that's what happens a lot of times on these cases. And I was expecting it to happen a lot sooner than it did. He held out for quite some time. But long story short is it looks like he's going to flip, and it makes the case on YW Melly, depending on what he says, which I anticipate he'll say that YW Melly is responsible. Even 6ix9ine reacted to the deal, as he said just accepted his plea deal with prosecutors. "I've been told you about these rap guys years ago, but they were scared of how big I was, so everyone singled me out." But comment if you think Portland is really snitching on Melly.